County Committee of the Whole meeting for Monday, November 15th. Are you ready for us, Andrea?
No, because I didn't know you were moving.
We'll give our clerk a moment. Again, our meeting is now called to order. Andrea, would you please call the roll?
Good afternoon, everyone. It is 1:07 p.m. I would just like to remind everyone that to all in attendance, this meeting is being recorded and live streamed on the county YouTube page. Calling the roll, Mr. Miller.
Here.
Mr. Sweeney.
Present.
Mr. Tuma.
Yes.
Mr. Gallagher.
Here.
Mr. Schrein.
Here.
Ms. Conwell.
No. I just wanted my buddy to feel okay.
Ms. Turner. Ms. Stevens.
Present.
Ms. Simon. Okay, Ms. Simon is absent at the moment. Ms. Baker. Here. Council President Jones.
Here.
You have a quorum.
All right, thank you. And I just want to take this moment just to acknowledge our newest colleague. And then Meredith, we just want to welcome you. All right, and glad to have you. All right, and at this time, I'm going to all right, give a little love. Give a little love. Hard-fought victory and well-deserved. All right, so at this time, I'm going to turn the remainder of our committee over to our Chair of Finance, Councilman Miller. The floor is yours.
I would like the record to reflect that Ms. Simon is in attendance.
Thank you very much. And the next item on the agenda is public comment. Has anybody signed in for public comment?
Yes, Mr. Chair. The first person we have is Samaria Rice.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the committee. You have 3 minutes.
Yes. How y'all doing today? This is my first time here, period. And let me just say, thank y'all for having me. It's going on 7 years for my son, and this is my first time coming to this meeting. But even before that, I didn't even know y'all existed, right? So since I'm involved because of the tragedy that happened to my family, I'm concerned about the general money, the budget, and where the money is going, and where this county council approving. I'm hearing some things some concerning things I'm hearing about you all, far as the new jail and opportunity corridor and stuff like that. So we can have a different conversation at another time, but I'm letting you know that the community is not approved of it. We do not have community residents in here to speak on it or whenever these meetings has occurred. This look like business as usual. And we're going to have a change in Cleveland, right? So I just want to be able to get people names and faces. That way I can know who I need to talk to when it comes to trying to build up the Cleveland community and how the budget is being spent and it's not being spent correctly in our community. And there's no citizens in here, but maybe 2 of them that can vouch. This room should be filled with citizens when you all are making decisions about our community. And that's what I'm here to speak on and address. And like I said, you all can get with me at any time. And I suggest that you all do, because I'm very connected in the community and I know about every ward and I can galvanize in every community and we can get some action, however it is, positive, negative. This is no threat to none of y'all, but I want to see a change in Cuyahoga County, period. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Rice, if you would make sure your contact information with our clerk, and then we will make that connection.
Reverend E. Regis Bunch.
Good afternoon.
Welcome to the committee.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Council. Again, my name is Reverend Bunch. I am a new pastor in the District 9 community. So we have a new representative, and hopefully we can set up a meeting. I'm not sure what happened with the prior person. I reached out multiple times but never got a meeting with the prior representative. So hopefully we can have a meeting here in the near future. I come here from Los Angeles, but born and raised right here in Ohio, right by the burning Cuyahoga River. And the Lord sent me back to Cuyahoga County because there is a new vision around how county can spend large amounts of dollars, particularly when it comes to criminal justice. And the county is about to spend $500 million on a new jail plan. But unfortunately, no one in the community is a part of that large conversation. People like formerly incarcerated folks, folks who have seen their loved ones die in that jail, folks who are pastors, clergy, folks who are in nonprofits in the community, in the nonprofit sector. What we were able to do in Los Angeles County was imagine alternatives to incarceration. And it was an interdepartmental and community project. You had the public defender, you had the county prosecutor, you had judges, you had nonprofit folks, you had families, formerly incarcerated folks in the room talking about how dollars can funnel towards alternatives versus building just another jail. And if Cuyahoga County wants to build something, does it have to really be a jail? Can it look like other alternative programs? Can it look like more access into college or more access into trades? Or how people don't have to get locked into fees and court and to court fines and locked into probation? How can this money be better used to keep people out of jail versus building another behemoth to send folks to jail? And so I come here to be a part of that conversation and figure out a way where we don't have to just build something just to build something, but build something that can be for the betterment of our community. And so if you want my contact, I gave it to you all before, and I know you all told me that the jail is already something that's going to happen, but I want to encourage you all, let's imagine something deeper, let's imagine something brighter. Our community is really dependent upon it. The next 20 years is going to be about this new jail. Should we send our youth to jail, or should we send our youth to college? Should we send our youth to probation, or should we send our youth to better jobs? And this is a great opportunity. We have a great horizon ahead of us. Invite the community into this conversation. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Lou?
Good afternoon, everybody. Today, there are two people before me already talking about the issue I would like to address again. The county, we do have limited resources, but for decades, even for centuries, we have only been investing business, certain entities, certain objects, instead of investing on people. I have mentioned that here in the previous meetings. Right now, building a new county jails, but it was emphasized it's bigger to house more people. What do you think people would think about this? That means, seems like government entities have more intention to incarcerate more people. If that's not your intention, county council really has to set the record straight. We do need a bigger jail. We do need a safer jail to help the people out, not just to incarcerate more people. Racial inequity, gender inequity, all these inequities being here for too long. They are made by people as well with the wrong public policies to begin with. Instead of focusing on things like bail reform, to take out the corrupted people in charge of important services, or the people only wants to sit and receive paycheck like in the homeless shelter. We have to start investing on people, the people already with disadvantage. Otherwise, it's against our slogan, together we thrive, because we have been doing the opposite. Right now, it's 1 week after my physical assault in the homeless shelter. Why? Why these things will keep happening? Guess what? After I got physically assaulted, 2 days later, last week, Wednesday, you have this person actually attacked the people working there. What kind of world is that? The people who come to any places to receive help will get agitated, angered, because they have been being denied the basic human rights. I'm not even talking about civil rights yet. So this is what we have ended up with. If we don't change things around, start investing people instead of goods, buildings, program which somebody imagined it will help people, then nothing will be changed. Thank you again. You guys have been very helpful, but we need more push because the bureaucracy and hypocrisy are still standing there against all of us. Thank you for all of your help. Let's go on. Thanks.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, that concludes the public comment portion for this meeting.
Thank you very much, and I appreciate all the public participation on the criminal justice issue. It's very much needed. And the next thing on the agenda are the two resolutions referred, and the first one is Resolution 2021-0253. Please read it into the record.
Resolution 2021-0253, authorizing an amendment to revenue generating agreement number 1864 with the Huntington National Bank, the successor in interest of First Merit Corporation, for the sale of naming rights for the Cleveland Convention Center for the period November 1st, 2015 through October 31st, 2035, to extend the time period to October 31st, 2036.
Thank you very much. That issue is now before us.
Thanks. Nicole English with Public Works, and I'm joined with Matt Carroll, and we also have representatives from Huntington with us today to answer any questions. So this is an extension of the naming rights agreement for an additional year on the end of the agreement with no additional costs. So the idea behind this is during the pandemic, obviously there was not any activity going on at the convention center, and so in an effort to sort of make up for that time, we've added a year at the end of the agreement. This was something that was negotiated with Huntington and the convention center themselves, kind of a nationwide trend that was happening on sort of the naming rights business in general. So any other questions you might have, I hopefully can maybe address, or Matt Carroll, who sits on the CCC FTC board.
Do you have anything to add, Chief Carroll?
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of council. Just that this is something that does happen. These kind of requests have been made by sponsors to try to address the lack of visibility. And from Huntington today, we have the regional president of the Greater Cleveland region, Sean Richardson, and Carrie Carpenter is also here from Huntington.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions by my colleagues?
Want a motion?
Yes.
So move. Second.
So this can be for 3 readings, is that correct?
Yes, Chair, Mr. Chair.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Ms. Simon.
I just have a question. So we're just doing, I mean, are there any contenders? How does this work? We just auto renew? I mean, I'm just curious.
Oh, through the chair, Councilwoman, so the bank has a contract through 2035 for the naming rights. And because of the lack of exposure in the last year and a half, there's just a way to compensate. So an extra year to 2036 is added on. You know, there was a process to select them in the first place.
So this is just 1 year to accommodate
That
year?
Right, Councilwoman. We have also talked to the city as well. The city gets half of these funds. They're also accepting this.
Is this contractual or just this is in the contract if nobody foresaw what happened with COVID?
Right.
So,
Through the chair, Councilwoman, we do have a contract. The county has a contract with the bank.
Well, I'm just asking if something like, did this anticipate a COVID drop and we're just doing this as an accommodation?
Right,
Not
it did not.
contractually.
There was nothing in the contract that
An
addressed
act of
something like
God
this.
type thing? Okay. What's the word, Nicole?
Force majeure.
What?
Force majeure.
Yes, right. Right, so that's why it's an amendment to the contract, because it was not addressed in the,
We don't have a force majeure provision in any of our contracts?
not in this one.
Ooh,
We do
okay.
in most of our building contracts.
So, does this also have to be approved by the city of Cleveland?
Through the chair, no, Councilman, they're not a party to it. They just receive the proceeds.
Uh-huh, okay. Councilman Gallagher?
What does it break down to per year?
Yeah, Councilman.
It started at a rate and it does increase as we go up. So we have a rate table.
Through the chair, Councilman Gallagher, the first year was $400,000 and the 2.6% is added to each year. So the payment that will be made or was just made for this period is $466,599. And then at the end of the lease period, the contract period, it gets to $651, including all of the increases over time.
Thank you. I'll take.
Ms. Conwell, followed by Sweeney.
Through the chair to Chief Carroll, after 2036, what is the process? Will we go back through the scoring or whatever you guys did?
Through the chair to the councilwoman, the contract does allow for renewal with certain details. The bank would have to come back a year in advance and talk about renewal. If they chose not to do that or give that notice, then it would be open for a new sponsor.
Thank you.
Councilman Sweeney.
Thank you, Mr. President, Chief and Administrator of Public Works. Huntington is the true partner, right? That's why we're doing it. They've always, and I don't want this to sound like they're demanding this to happen. An unfortunate set of circumstances occurred. It's a national trend that's happening. It came to your attention, you negotiated in good faith, and this is what we should do. And we're doing it because of their extraordinary partnership at many different levels from the corporate community, not from their world to the people that we represent. If they want to talk about how good they do in the community stuff, that would maybe give a balance from the thought process of they're trying to just get an extra year. So I just wanted to say that for the record. I'm good.
So, seeing nothing else, we do have a motion and a second properly made on the floor. So I'm going to ask all those who support moving resolution 2021-0253 to the full council for second reading, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. The ayes have it, and the resolution is so recommended. Resolution 2021-0255.
Resolution 2021-0255, authorizing a contract with Clark, Schaefer, Hackett, and Co. in the amount not to exceed $2,320,000 for annual audits for calendar years 2021 through 2025 for the period September 30th, 2021 through December 31st, 2026.
Okay, thank you very much. That issue is now before us. Who do we have from the administration to present on this item?
Michael Zappola, Business Manager, Fiscal Office. Michael Chambers, I believe, is out of town right now. It's basically a 5-year contract, about $450,000 the first year, and it escalates up about $10,000 to $20,000 per year for a total of $2.3 million. The state selected this accounting firm through a formal bid process. We were just basically handed that off. So that's what I'm here today to ask you.
Okay, so by way of further background, I would mention that until recently, for several years in a row, the state performed this audit for us, for which we paid the state an amount that's similar to what's in this contract. But the the state says they can't do everybody's audit every year, and they decided it was time to move this along, so that, that resulted in this process of coming up with a private vendor to perform these services. Are there any questions by my colleagues? Councilman Tron.
Yes, I know that the state said they were not going to do the audit this year and require us to go out to get private bidding. This is for 2021 to 2026. If in the event that we get the state to come back in an intervening year, are we able to get out of this contract and substitute the state?
The state actually selected this group, and I don't believe the state would come back in. I don't know that for sure, though, in the contract.
Okay.
I would have to circle back.
What do you mean the state selected us?
The state did the formal bidding process on the selection of this vendor.
Okay.
Selected them.
Okay, so we weren't a party to the interview and the process, and why? I guess I was under the impression that this was an independent organization, that we made our own selection.
This was one of the people or the organizations that did bid on the county's contract through the state of Ohio. The state of Ohio managed the whole bidding process.
So what you're telling us, for all intents and purposes, the state has selected this body.
Correct.
We are not, all we're going to do is write the check.
Correct.
Okay. All right.
Just to add to that, they're actually less than the state was charging us the last several years.
Well, was that how we were able to keep the fees relatively comparable to the state's number?
Yeah, they're actually lower than the state's number.
That's what I thought they were. Okay. Well, hey. Is there anything else that they can negotiate for us? Thanks.
Okay, I would note that Vice President Stevens is now in attendance. And
She was here. She's been here.
Did you catch that?
are there any other questions by my colleagues?
Dale?
Yes.
So probably a question to you versus Mr. Sapoli. So this is a new, to the chair, this is something new that we haven't done in the past in terms of the state. So I'm just not sure I'm okay with us just writing the check and not being able to have participation some sort of way, even though the numbers are low. Was this discussed in Finance Committee?
This has not been previously discussed. As you know, the state performed these audits for us for I think since the beginning of the new government. So this is new in that sense. So I'm getting an indication the law director may be able to help us on this.
Yeah, just by way of a little bit of background here, understand that this is an audit that's performed by the state. So he's not working for us, he's working for the state. So that's why the state does the selection process. And then we just pay for it the way we had to pay the state in the past.
Clarification, thank you.
Councilwoman Stevens.
As a point of clarification, as a former finance chair for a local municipal jurisdiction and its mayor, the state of Ohio has laws that supersede our decision to hire different accounting firms to do our financing. Municipalities have something called a comprehensive annual financial report, or a CAFR. We are told when we can go to bid. We are told who is eligible to respond to those bids, and the state has the ability to supersede our potential decisions on something and tell us how we can choose who is to help us do our financial documents. And so I'm presuming that at the county level, it is the same way. The state of Ohio gives us guidance, quote unquote, and we have to take their instructions. They created another party that's like a subset of the state that does audits, and when they can't handle the capacity, they send it off to a pool of pre-approved auditors or auditing firms. Sometimes they're as large as E&Y, and sometimes they're small privately held companies with only maybe have 10 accountants. So we don't get to choose everything we do when it comes to an audit because we have to adhere to the state standards.
I think that was very nicely summed up. Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
yes.
just for the formal bid process, it is open and transparent with the state?
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Since we're not even out of 2021, I would assume that we don't need second reading suspension unless I hear otherwise.
That's correct.
Okay,
I move we
Councilman Tron.
I move we approve for a second reading, item 0255.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded with the first by Councilman Tron and the second by Councilwoman Conwell. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed say no. It is so recommended, and I am now going to turn the meeting back over to the council president to start the executive session.
Thank you, Councilman Miller. All meetings of the Cuyahoga County Council are open to the public under the Ohio Open Meetings laws. Under that law, council may go into executive session during a meeting for specifically authorized purposes. During executive session, council confers outside of the hearing of the public. Council may not make any decisions about any matters in executive session. All decisions are made in public. This afternoon, the council will go into executive session to discuss the purchase or sale of property. During this time, our live stream will be down, and we ask all those not specifically needed for the executive session to remain in council chambers. Council members will convene in the adjacent Committee Room A and will re-enter the meeting once the executive session has ended. Is there a motion to go into executive session for the purposes of discussing the purchase or sale of property?
So moved.
Second.
It has been properly moved and seconded. Clerk, will you call the roll on the motion to go into executive session?
Calling the roll, Ms. Baker. Mr. Miller.
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney.
Yes.
Mr. Tuma.
Yes.
Mr. Gallagher. Mr. Schron.
Yes.
Ms. Conwell.
Yes.
Ms. Turner.
Yes.
Ms. Stevens. Ms. Simon. Council President Jones.
Yes.
The motion carries.
All right, the ayes have it. We will adjourn the meeting for an executive session.
How's it going?
We are reconvening the council meeting. We are now back on the record. Is there any miscellaneous business?
Yes, Mr. President.
Councilman Miller, the floor
My
is yours.
colleagues, just a reminder, our next meeting on the budget will be 1 week from today at 1 o'clock, and hopefully at that time, we're going to be able to pass out a set of amendments to the full council. Thank you.
All right, any further, any other miscellaneous items? If nothing else holds our attention, our meeting is now adjourned.